how we can also attend to customers, customer service. And the third is access to enabling resources like mentorship, like being able to have access to finance, affordable finance, and other supportive policies of government. By the time we turn all of these together and we combine it, it will help us to turn raw talents into scalable ventures that can hire others, make our country better, remove poverty, and expand the economy. But then, we have a number of challenges that entrepreneurs are facing, just as we have opportunities that they also have. Let's look at some of these challenges first, and then move to the opportunities. First is that SMEs or entrepreneurs find it difficult to access finance. Most funds you have in terms of loan are too expensive. It is either that the interest rate is too high, or that the documentation is too cumbersome, or that it has to be collateralized, and the collateral is beyond the ability of the entrepreneur. The next big thing is the inconsistent power supply. In a nation like this, for us to grow, we need to have constant power supply because it is the backbone of business. But then the reverse is the case in Nigeria. Our infrastructure also is not too good. I was reading in the Vanguard newspaper yesterday describing the federal highway as horror. It calls it Federal Highway of Horror. Of course, if you want to move product from one location to the other, you need good roads. The regulatory environment too is very hostile. It becomes very difficult for us to survive under this kind of regulations. But then that also understand why we fell, or Nigeria fell from the ranking of doing business. We fell from the position we went to another ninth below that. And that explains that it is not easy really doing business in Nigeria. Cost of operations is also very high here. And this also makes it almost impossible for entrepreneurs to grow their business. But then, as much as we have these challenges, there are also opportunities. And I'm happy to let you know that the opportunities are greater than the challenges. So if for us as entrepreneurs or as SMEs, we want to focus on the opportunities, then we will thrive and grow and become scalable. That's it. So let's talk about some of the opportunities that we have at this time. Well, the first thing is for you to formalize your business, you need a business registration, right? I'm happy to announce to you that just last week, the federal government declared that business registration will be done for 250,000 businesses for free. That be right, for free. 250,000 businesses. All you need to do is to go to the website designed for it, which is www.smeda.gov.ng. SMEDA is SMEDA.gov.ng. Register there, and you'll be opportune to be one of those who will have free business name registration. Having that, the next thing you think of is, where do I do my business? I do not have the money to rent an office. I do not have the fund to build a factory, or perhaps rent a big space for a factory. I also want you to know that the government is now creating what they call co-working spaces. For example, in Lagos, we now have 29 different co-working spaces where you can move in and do your business without needing to rent a space. These offices have been designed here and there. All you need to do is to pay 30% of the cost. The question is it government that owns all those offices? Not really. Just identify a co-working space, get the fee, apply for it, and government will pay 70% of it. Ditto two, for those who are into manufacturing, we now have industrial hubs, vocational centers, where you can do your business. These industrial hubs are being designed in different size spaces, whereby it is allocated to you in accordance with the size of your business. So could it be that you're doing a pure water business, there's a space for you. You want to package food, or that is a space for you. And you know what? This space comes for free for the first 3 years. You pay after 3 years. So in Lagos, for example, we have 31 different industrial hubs where you can do business for free. Then too, we begin to look at how do you get support system from government. One of the support systems that is now available for you is the newly passed law under the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, whereby, unlike before, when you borrow money, particularly from fintech, and they begin to harass you, they begin to put your pictures and say you are wanted, that has come to an end. The new law that states that nobody has the right to harass you as a borrower, even when you do not pay, although you have the responsibility to pay. Now, the new lines have been opened for complaints. For those agents use our own association to direct such to them. All fintechs are now made to re-register now with CBN and sign a contract whereby their interest rate from on the 1st of this month is now crashed. If you go online, you see that the interest rate is between 4 and 6%. And before you know it, arbitrary charges and other hidden charges will begin to come up. That has also come to pass. Again, too, we now have new tax reform, as you must have heard. I know you already know a lot about the new tax reform, but what I want to talk about is about agriculture, which is done in the communities, about the manufacturing, which is done by many. The new tax law grants you 3 years tax holidays. 3 years tax holidays. So if you're in any of this sector, also still on funding, we have so many funding opportunities. I believe I want to mention all, but I will just mention a few to you. The first I will start with is that of the Lagos State, known as the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, that offers you loan at 9% projects, businesses, entrepreneurship in the community. The government also just launched, just last month, a new fund known as Bank of Industry Rapid Fund. This rapid fund is designed only for based projects and businesses. With this fund, a community or an entrepreneur in rural areas or other communities can now have access to up to 10 million naira at 9% interest rates and repay you only in 3 years. The question is, what's the time frame from application to getting the fund? As soon as the documentation is complete, it's within 72 hours. And that's what we need to support those in the communities, particularly rural communities. The government also came up with what is known as National Credit Guarantee Company. What does this do for you? It helps you to be able to get funding from the bank without much stress. Why banks refuse to give you money really is because they see you as high risk and they're not ready to pay for that risk. So they tell you bring collateral sometimes worth 150% or 200% of the fund you want. But with this National Credit Guarantee Company, government now covers 70% of the fund. Meaning that if you need the fund, you apply to the bank, inform the National Guarantee Credit Company, and the company gives a guarantee that covering 70%. So if 70% of the fund is already covered, it means the bank has no issue giving you the money. And what this means is that if there's a default, instead of you paying, it is the guarantee company on behalf of the federal government that pays. This was launched initially with 100 million on the 4th of July this year. And as at last month, it has been geared up to 500 billion naira just to support you when you need funding. Again, too, we know that when it comes to communities, what really supports community members, our community residents, and cooperatives. Cooperatives now has another window of funding through a program known as MECO. And what does it do? gives cooperatives and cooperators up to 10 million naira loan for SMEs. So when an SME, you belong to any cooperative in Lagos State, you now have the opportunity to apply to your cooperative, and you can have as much as 10 million naira at 9% interest rate. There are some aggregators for this. It is my delight to also inform you that our association is one of those aggregators. So we can work with Rotary to ensure that your members, either in the urban area or rural area, are able to access this. We also have another window of funding brought about by SMEDA. SMEDA is the agency of government that oversees the affairs of SMEs. It is called Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency. So last 2 months, they will launch another initiative with Telebank that is known as Telebank's median loan, and it offers single-digit interest rates for those who want to have it. It is as cheap as 5%, and as an obligor or an individual, you can have as much as 5 million naira. What about those who are farmers that are really in farming business or in different value chain, whether you're processing farming products, you export or import farming products, or you are into real farming? We have a newly launched funding window just 2 weeks ago. It is known as AGRA, and AGRA stands for Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, where you now have funding at 3%. And then the beauty of it is that the funding is designed to your kind of agricultural business. Meaning that if you are planting cocoa, for example, you will not be expected to repay until maybe 10 years. Yes, it is strictly for farming, and it is not one size fits all. Could it also be that you want to look at how to make your product known and get it exposed? Government is also supporting you in a number of ways. For example, in Lagos State, coming up this year, we have what is known as MSME Fair, where you can exhibit whatever you sell for a period of 3 days without needing to break a bank. In November this year, we also have the International Trade Fair coming up, and because government wants you to be part of it, they have designed different platforms so that you can also be part of it without paying the conventional fee that the organizers always request from you. We also have a number of e-commerce platforms where you can sell your wares, your products, or your services. Government has also been able to subsidize a number of these platforms so that your products, your services can now be displayed at a very discounted rate. It's for time, that's why I could not dive deep into some of these funding program and tell you how it works. But then, let's move quickly to my recommendation, because that will be if I continue with these opportunities and funding opportunity or windows that we have. I know that people like us are not here, so we want to now go practical to see our recommendation for governments, corporate organizations, for private people, and even for entrepreneurs and work itself. Let's start with government. We believe that there's need for government to create a one-stop shop for all approvals and certification. You can imagine someone who wants to produce pure water will have to go to NAFTA for a certificate, go to Standard Organization for a certificate, go to CAC for a certificate, go to other regulatory bodies for certificates. It is our idea that we have a one-stop shop for all certification, then the businesses will be simplified for those who need it. Again, too, we believe that skills hub should be linked to enterprise incubators. What do I mean by that? When government builds some of these industrial hubs that we've mentioned, after building them and training people sometimes to vocational centers, those trades should be linked up to where they need to practice. You can imagine a tailor that is being trained in the morning and linked to a fashion show in the evening, or perhaps linked to a cooperative where you can get funding. or perhaps link to an e-commerce platform where you can display what he or she is doing, or perhaps link to a finance organization that can support. We believe that linkage is important to be created. However, to create that linkage, we must also start by being intentional about the kind of education we want to give to our people. Letting them know that yes, it's good to have skills, and sometimes skills will be better than some university degree certificates. In China today, they are converting their universities to polytechnics. But in Nigeria, we are converting our polytechnics to universities. And that's not too good. Again, too, we believe that government needs to create a ministry for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. We have a number of ministries here in Nigeria. But because SMEs form 96% of the total businesses in Nigeria, they deserve a ministry. And why is it? Because SMEs come in different segmentations. We have the nano, that is a very small. We have the micro, we have the small, we have the medium. And their challenges are not the same. If the ministry dedicated them, will be able to give a kind of services and policies that will tailor to each of those segments, and I think it will make a lot of difference. Also, to believe that government needs to be more responsible when it comes to the procurement act. The procurement act says that government must patronize SMEs and entrepreneurs and buy at least 40% of whatever they need from SMEs. Imagine if all government supplies, government needs at least supplied by SMEs up to 40%. That would definitely change the narrative. Let me stop there because of time and move to private sector. We believe that it is important for those in the private sector to adopt SME in their supply chains. All the supplies should come from SMEs rather than importing. Most of the things being imported into this country can be done by our own entrepreneurs, and it will give them a lot of market and leverage. We also believe too that the private organization should be ready to mentor entrepreneurs, should be mentor those who need skills so that they can turn into enterprise. Sometimes what an entrepreneur needs is it's not 5 billion naira, but just 5 minutes of mentoring or vice versa. We also believe that for individuals like you and I, we should be intentional about buying made in Nigerian products. If we buy made in Nigerian products, we are contributing to the economy, and we are growing that person that has the skill to turn it to an enterprise. Again, also, it's important for government to make all their new policy known as Nigerian First Policy. I don't know whether you've heard of it, that was launched recently, whereby it states that all companies must make sure that 70% of their derivatives are gotten locally. This will also help to develop the skills and them to enterprise governance. Now to communities, to NGOs, perhaps also to Rotary, I will advise that it is fine for us to see how we can organize skill to business competitions, skills to business pitches, and mentor them along the circle. You can imagine what 100,000 grants can do to some businesses. It can change some lives. So it's important for us to do so. But when we do so, we must match it with guidance. If you give us funding, good mentoring, and it is not well guided, we may not get the kind of results we need. There's also need for NGOs, communities to see how they can support cooperatives. Yes, and also support clusters. Clusters where we have more than 2-3 persons doing the same business gathered together. You can imagine if a cooperative of 50 persons decides to access a loan, it will be easier than one person just going to access a loan. So it is good for us to look at how we can support them. Then see how we can showcase role models, people who have been able to turn skills to enterprise. If you listen while my profile was being read, it was mentioned that I have a PhD in analytical and industrial chemistry. That's where I'm skilled. But I'm not practicing it. I'm not practicing that. I'm more into entrepreneurship. I am really eating entrepreneurship. entrepreneurship. So it's important for us to also show models where they turn their inherent skills to be able to turn it to enterprising businesses. And that is what we also help. Then when it comes to entrepreneurs themselves, it's for us to stop waiting for a perfect condition. There's no perfect condition anywhere. So we encourage you to adopt the slogan of our own association. And the slogan is start small, grow big, and start now. Can we take that? Start small, grow big, and start now. Yes, it's important for us to do so. Then for entrepreneur, we should also be resilient and creative. We should be ready to go all the way, and we must continue to learn. The best capital we can have is not money, but knowledge. Should be tired of learning. And still about entrepreneurs, as many challenges we have, so do we have those opportunities that we can look at and get a lot of ideas, a lot of visions that we can turn to businesses. In today's Nigeria, it is being forecasted that by 2050, our population will get 410 million people. What that means is that we'll have double the size of the vehicles we have on the road, double the need for school, double the need for hospitals and other facilities. If care is not taken, it could be very chaotic. But at the same time, entrepreneurs look at it positively and see that it is an opportunity also to look at the fact that double the size of this population will need to be clothed. Double the size of this population will need food. Double the size of this population will need. How can we begin to now turn our skills to something that will open up and see how we can make from it and turn our skills to enterprise? When it comes to enterprise, it's like people in two sides of the river. In one side of the river are those who have skills. The other side is an enterprise. How do you cross from skill to enterprise? It's by having entrepreneurial thinking as an entrepreneur, not as a hustler. Having that thought that I can do this business and it will even run whether I am there or not. And that means we must put system in place, we must put structure in place for it to work. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, the future of our economy will not be built in the corridor of government alone or in the corporate boardrooms. It will be built in the workshop of artisans, in the stall of the market women, in the creative lab of our youth, and in the corridor of every small business owners who dare to dream. So when we transform skills to enterprise, we create not just jobs, but dignity, not just profit, but progress, not just business. It is enterprise that feeds us. So if you have a seed and keep it in your pocket, what happens? You rot away and also. But when you plant it, it becomes a tree that can give fruits, a tree that can give shelter, a tree that will be there for generations to come. So let's begin to see the skills we have today as a seed and be ready to make that seed work. So you can ask yourself as a leader today, am I sitting on a seed or am I growing a tree? Let us move together from skills to enterprise, to building our communities and to true economic freedom and development. Thank you for your listening.
Wow, I think we can do better. Yes, so please, I'll ask you when you take your seat, questions to be asked. For me, I feel like you're such a great teacher. We assimilated everything that was said, right? He took his time. Little wonder he has this impact across universities and entrepreneurs. This is because he took his time, very insightful, giving us information on opportunities that are available to entrepreneurs, SMEs, and all of that. So if you have questions, we're taking 2 questions we'd like to ask. But before we ask the questions, I'd like to recognize my boss, the man I call a leader, a public image mentor, Abiodun, the chair Public Image Committee of District 9112. Please help me make my boss feel welcome. Thank you. I also want to recognize the representative of the past president of the Rotary Club of Lagos, the past president of the Rotary Club of Lagos, Gordon Ibu, and sector representative here. Please can you be upstanding and sit anything. Thank you very much. So we go to questions. I'm sure we have questions packed. This is such a session that should have this whole packed full. So rich. I learned so much. And I wish you could shed more light on the new tax reform, because a lot of entrepreneurs are panicking for January 2026. What is going to happen when this tax policy takes effect? Do we have questions, please, from the audience? Please, be up on your feet, your name, your club, and the question.
Rotarian Franca from Rotary Club of Rotarian. I was particularly impressed about the output on this very critical topic. And the question that has always come to my mind was lit by this presentation, and that is, how do we influence government policy to ensure that government does more in the area of promoting vocational education, either by integrating it into the schooling system, which I know was in time past, but it's undermined today, because the easiest way to empower indigents is actually through the provision of vocational skills and teaching them how to convert to enterprise, just as we've learned today. But government position is very critical in making sure that this is well implemented and it goes round every community, besides what we do in Rotary, because Rotary is just a small bit of the large space. So is there any way Rotary can do a representation to government, to inspire government to actually look into this extremely critical area of empowering, especially young people? Thank you.
All right, let me quickly say that when it comes to vocational skills, the narrative has changed a lot, particularly under this new administration. For example, now we have job centers. Job centers are now created in every state to be able to map skills with those that need it, that is the industry. Formerly, people go to vocational skill centers, learn different skills of trade, come out, and there's no job. Now we have job centers, so it links them directly. And for the job center, they also question the industry. Dangote, what do you need? Oh, we need plumbers. Oh, we need electricians. Oh, we need those who can work submarine. They train them according to the industry need. Again, also, the policy now is that if you go to vocational center, you are being paid. When you go to the university, you pay. Now, if you go to vocational center, government pays you. Why? Because they want to encourage skills. Our skills are dying daily. Skills are being imported from Africa and outside to Nigeria, and it cannot continue. Again, too, they have created a number of vocational centers. This new administration created over 40 new vocational centers in almost every state. That is massive if you look at the budget. And that is to show you that a lot of transformation is going on. There's a new policy design now for vocational centers that is ongoing. I hope it will pass the last reading by the end of this year, whereby you will now be certificated and graded as a skill holder. You know, if you need a plumber now, just call for anybody and they come. Somebody will just recommend this is a plumber. You now have plumber Category 1, Category 2, Category 3, depending on their level of skills and years of experience. They will now be enrolled into a particular government portal, such that when you need, you know that somebody coming to your house or office has their data in government data and cannot steal from you or do any harm. But now be sure of the kind of professionalism that is there, because the grading helps to do all of that. Talking about policy reforms, it is good that Rotary also drives policy reforms. And policy reform goes through a number of processes. We start with public-private dialogue. So I will not be able to mention all of that here. Rather, I would say that if you can have a time with Rotary, we will be able to sit down and see how we can part a way for that journey. For us in Asbon, we are driving a lot of policy reforms. We mentioned the free CAC certification. It comes through efforts from the association. We are also driving a number of policy changes that you are seeing, but you don't know how it is happening, because we are strategic about it. In Nigeria, for the past 3 years, we've been able to bring about, through our own association and advocacy, 13 different reforms. This can always be done, but we have to be strategic about it. And for it to work, no individual can drive much change alone. You must also be intentional about belonging to an organization. Whether it is that you want to belong to Rotary, you want to extend your neck beyond Rotary to our own association, you just must belong somewhere. Someone says that if you walk alone, you walk fast. But if you walk with others, you walk far. There's little that any of us can get individually, but collectively, we can achieve more. Though there are a lot of reforms in vocational centers and vocational training, which is known as TVET, at the moment, we can still suggest other things that can be done. Our own association, for example, has a seat in TVET education. We are not educators, but because we are the ones that will need those trained people, we have a seat there. Rotary can apply and can be granted such opportunities, and you have a voice both at the national level and in-house.
Thank you very much. There's another question, Madiji. Yes. And then the ARP has a comment.
At my district level, very distinguished speaker, fellow Rotarians and friends and guests of Rotary. Mine is basically a comment. Just first of all, say a big thank you for the masterclass. And it is true that there are challenges and there are even opportunities in those challenges. So when you started by saying Nigeria rich in skills, poor in opportunities, you later converted that into richer in opportunities, which I can assure you, standing here today, I will do an article titled Nigeria rich in skills, richer in opportunities. Because I listened to you. You identified about 15 different opportunities, funding opportunities that are available that a lot of people don't know about. Government, they start these policies, they initiate these reforms, a lot of people don't know about. So awareness level is going very, very low. I don't know what your association will do or can do to scale up and awareness level. That's what you have done today. A lot of people have benefited. Knowledge sharing, because you said knowledge, for the knowledge economy, sharing knowledge. And things like skills to enterprise, your slogan, start small, grow big, start now. And of course, more importantly, you highlighted the fact that we need a ministry of what? Small SMEs, right? MSMEs. I think that is something you need to push through advocacy to the government. There are so many things I would like to talk about, but we don't have time. But just to say a big thank you, and that we'll definitely meet after today. Thank you.
I can show you that in terms of PR or publicity and all, here's the man to go. All right, good question.
My DG sir, we also have 2 other questions. I told you that it was a very powerful session and the impact. So please, can you come forward?
My DG, guest speaker, AG, PAGs, district officers in our midst, friends and guests, and my fellow Rotarians. My name is Lawrence Evelyn from Rotary Club of Akintola. So I have a question on you mentioned co-working spaces provided by the government. I would like to know how to locate these spaces. Also the industrial hub you spoke about. You said you have 31 industrial hub, I'm not aware of any. So I know you mentioned the link for the free business registration, but there was no link mentioned on how to locate the working spaces. And also you talked about loans, nano businesses and all. I want to know how to access the loans. And also, you talked about fairs, the International Trade Fair, MSME Fair and all. I want to know how to know when it's going to happen and how to register for it. Thank you.
Should we take on the questions and you respond? Okay.
Thank you very much. My district governor, our guest speaker, fellow Rotarians. My name is Rotarian Akintola. I have listened very well to the delivery, and I'm particular about how Rotary can benefit from all the deliveries. And I would like you to know, as the president of the association that you belong to, that as we speak today, particularly Rotary International District 9112 has a Rotary Vocational Center, one at Igogo, one at Ikeja. My concern is with what you have said today here, how do we benefit? How can Rotary be visible in all that we have said here today? We have them there, those children in vocational skills, outdoor vocational skills, different things. And it has been something that has been very demanding that, okay, when they churn them out, they just churn them out to the public. So how do we now make them, from what they have acquired, how do they benefit from these linkages that you mentioned? Thank you very much, sir.
Mighty G, good afternoon. Mentorship and coaching. All right, so thank you so very much, ma'am. I'm actually very glad that this is brought to Rotary. And I know that there's many ways that we can participate in this loud information that I just asked. All right, so my question is about the Sterling Bank SMIDA loan. I do a lot of training. I train women, students, I do capacity building and all of that, agricultural training, the value chain. Most of the problems we have is finance. And I'm glad that you are giving us all this information. So my question is, the Sterling Bank SMIDA loan, how do we access this loan? What are the requirements? You also mentioned something, I don't know the name you called it, but it's agri loan, right? Agri loan, yes. I want to know how to access this. Most of the problems we have is when we train people, we just send them back on the street. And a lot of them don't know how to access loan to start. The third one is last Mexico, actually, I thought I was there when it was launched. I was there when it was launched, so I don't have a question. Rapid fund, I wanted you to talk more about the rapid fund. How does one access this? I hear you say that it's available in 72 hours. I don't know how this is Nigeria, but I need you to talk more on that. Thank you so much, sir.
Fellow Rotarians, my own question is this. I'm Rotarian Rayson from Rotary of Owolewa. People don't know that I am a graduate of mechanical engineering. That's what I studied in the university. But now I'm into branding. I'm doing branding. That's what I'm doing. The challenge that I saw in this branding is a very good example for what happened 15 years ago, when somebody called me and said he wants to give me a old school. That's lower college.
that I should take care of the uniform, even the boarding school. I went to my bank that I want to collect money, and they were like, ah, what is that? You can't get that kind of money from us because what you have received in your account, there's no way you go and say you want to collect almost like 50 million when your account are not free 50 million. You know the challenge that I have. So the same when I have a job for UNICEF. Also, I went to my bank. The same thing happened. I said, you give me the loan, I want to give you so. You are telling me, no way, we can't give this kind of a loan. Now, what is the government doing with this commercial bank that we have? For us, those of us that have problems with, we have answers already, but they are not giving a huge amount of loan for us to work. Like I'm just hearing that another commercial, because I have to go back to microfinance bank to get money. What are they doing? Now, the second one is, how can we just access or be access to you in case of any time we need any information about this business? Because I'm so eager. I'm doing business of branding, and that's what I'm doing. I've worked in the company with my certificate, BM Motors and all that, but I fell in love so much in branding. Thank you very much.
Magiji of the guest lecturer, my fellow Rotarians. My name is Rotarian Shegun Bemo from Victor Central. My question is in recent time, I bank with Stanley Bank, Access Bank, and some other banks. I'm into real estate. From the list that from what lecture, you didn't mention my area of town. But in recent times, Stanley Bank and Access Bank, they have been calling me that I'm qualified to take about 12 million naira loan. I want to ask if this call falls within the what you have, the lecture you deliver to us today, whether it's for MSC, and two, if there are programs or parties for the real estate development within that is up to 100 million and still fall within this MSA. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the final question. We'll now hand over to the keynote speaker to address the questions.
Fellow Rotarians, before our keynote speaker answers the remaining questions, I think that it is appropriate to give honor to whom it is due. He came early enough before the commencement of our seminar, and he has been with us since. So we shouldn't make it a talk affair. Let's have this so that we can duly appreciate it. Please come here, sir. Before I present this to you, please, I want all of us to give him a resounding applause. I have benefited from his presentation. Please be seated. I have been more enlightened by his presentation, and I believe that all of us in this hall have benefited in one way or the other from his presentation. Very lucid, very fluent, and very effective. And that accounts for why we have been asking so many questions and providing so many suggestions to him. That means that we really listened to him and we took some good notes. It is
it's my honor on behalf of the Community Economic Committee of District 9112 to present this appreciation award to Dr. Femi Egbesola, National President, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, ASBON, in recognition of your contribution as the keynote speaker at the Community Economic Development Seminar today, Tuesday, 7th of October 2025, and it has been duly signed by the District Governor. We thank you for your presentation, and we are more enlightened by what you have done. Some of the areas that you touched, I'm sure some of us do not know. Please, those who are at the back, please find a seat, please. There should be no need for us to stand around. Please find a seat, everyone should find a seat, so that we can get the benefit of what is happening here. So, Dr. Femi Egbesola, we can't thank you enough. May God continue to enrich your fountain of knowledge, and God will also continue to prosper us as Rotarians. So, it's my honor to present you this award. Please, let me welcome our District Governor-elect, Abiodun. So, please take your seat and answer your questions now.
First, let me proudly put my plate here for everyone to see. I really appreciate this, and I think this has also spurred me to do more. I don't see it just as an award to Dr. Egbesola or to Hasbro. So we'll get back home and say, we came, but we left with more. And this is an award of more value. Thank you very much. To take your questions, I also want to thank everyone for your kind words and compliments. And it's made me joy that we have been able to actually share knowledge today. Let me start with the first question about awareness. You see, when it comes to awareness, the system we have is such that the way government disseminates information is very, very low. And that's why it's important for you to continue to seek knowledge. Seeking knowledge means that you must be searching out for information from time to time. And you also need to belong to business membership organizations. I am proud to let you know that in Nigeria today, the government approves 13 business membership organizations. We have over 100,000 different associations, but government approves those 13. So when that information, they disseminate it through this 13 to every other association. So find a way to keep to light. I will call it light. Still talking about awareness, there are so many things that are happening that we may not be aware of, but it is for our own business and our own mind. I did not mention it a lot because of time, but let me state here because of one person that mentioned startup. Are you aware that it's a startup heart? The startup heart is designed to form those who have startups. The question that will come to your mind is, who is a startup? Many of us believe that startups are those who just started business recently. That's not it. The new definition of startups are those who have started business but has not grown over time. Meaning that if your business has started and in 10 years you are still in the same place, it is still a startup. And for that, you are qualified for the startup grant or startup fund. So there's a fund and a grant, and it is an act. And you know the funniest thing, last year, the record shows that about 60% of the fund meant for startup was returned back to the government treasury because people did not come to collect it. So it's important for you to look for that. Still talking about agri. Are you aware, madam, in order to talk about agri, that government is doing that even as far as sharing farming equipment, tractors, drillers, bulldozers, and all of that. They are sharing it at no cost to farmers. They are sharing seeds at no cost to farmers. But you don't know, you don't know. It's important for you to see how you can get that done. Talking about the MSME ministry is one of the things we are advocating for. We are still in an ongoing discussion with government, not just in the MSME ministry, a host of other things that we feel is good for MSMEs that we cannot mention here now for time. So it's an ongoing thing, and we believe that it will pay off at the end of the day. For the rapid fund, the co-working space, industrial hubs, leads to a number of things I mentioned. I would suggest that let me pass them to district governor who will share with you, because it will be another lecture if I want to go into it. Again, also, it will not be a bad idea if Rotary can design a workshop for us to deep dive into a number of these things. 20, 40 minutes, we can never do it. So that if it is 3, 4, 5 we want to hold on, let's talk about it in depth and see how we can hold a number of us to actually benefit. I think that will be helpful. And talking about how Rotary can benefit, me and my district governor is already talking. I'm already on my way to becoming a Rotarian. So we will work hand in hand, and I'm sure we'll be able to benefit. The stainless metal loan and the hard grant loan. The stainless metal loan also is active. If you go online, many of these things you will see them online. And last year also, it was first launched 2 years ago. It was bound up and relaunched 2 months ago. The report was that the one launched 2 years ago, about 8% of MSMEs